Canada says its friendship with the U.S. is over now. And I don't understand what it is that they're thinking is actually over. But this is from Politico. It's over. After a century and a half of building an economic and military partnership that survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, the Cold War, and the 9/11 attacks, the United States and Canada are breaking up. So said Prime Minister Mark Carney in a national televised address to 41 million Canadian citizens from Parliament Hill last week. And it is almost all because of President Donald Trump's tariffs. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over, Carney declared on March 27. We must fundamentally reimagine our economy. We will need to ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. To me, and again, I don't want to sound condescending, but that sounds like it's completely and totally just posturing, because Canada's proximity to the United States means that they will forever have the ability to rely on the United States defense budget as its own defense budget to a great extent. And Canada is our biggest trading partner. So the idea that they can just say, well, we're not going to anymore because we don't like your president, I think that's a little outside of what you could consider reasonable.
Yeah, and just to add salt to the wound, I think like only a week or 2 weeks ago, China imposed agriculture tariffs on Canada of 100%.
Did they?
Wow. And Carney, I don't think Carney made even a comment.
Even said a word about it.
No one has in the Canadian, any of the Canadian politicians for that matter. So it's in a direct assault to the United States all the time right now for political purposes.
There's no benefit to talking about it for them.
100% tariffs. Think about that. There is no. Well, to me, it makes my hair like stand. It really genuinely upsets me.
And what he's talking about here is America over, however, 2 world wars, 9/11, all of these things. The moment they start looking out for their own economic interests, we now have to cut bait and run away.
You know, what bugs me about this story is the headline, Canada says. Canada didn't say that. A prime minister who's been PM for, 2 weeks? And like I say, he's been away from Canada for a decade. Yeah. What did Mark Carney, and I know most of your viewers have never even heard that name before, because he just sort of showed up, and now he's speaking on behalf of all Canadians. I'm saying our century and a half alliance is over. Who the hell are you?
Do you think having a Trudeau 2.0 will do to Canada what Biden did to this country and turn the population against it?
Worse, because Trudeau 2.0 is smarter than Trudeau 2.1, 1.0.
Right.
But the thing is, who was this Mark Carney? He was the chairman of something called Brookfield Capital, which is like a mini BlackRock. Once you know that, and once you study what Mark Carney did for a decade, this starts to make sense. Chris was onto something when he said China just put 100% tariff on Canada, and Carney hasn't said a word. Mark Carney, Canada's new prime minister, I'm talking weeks ago, took out an enormous $250 million loan for BlackRock from the Chinese government. He's met with President Xi Jinping. He says China is the future. Carney has not actually sold off his holdings in Brookfield. It would be like Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, decides to run for president but doesn't sell his stock. Are you operating as an oligarch, or are you operating as a president? That's the problem. This Mark Carney is so democratically illegitimate. Give me 30 more seconds on that.
Sure, please.
Like I say, he was chosen as the leader of the Liberals. How? He wasn't voted on by ordinary Canadians. The Liberal Party had an internal vote. They allowed non-citizens to vote. They allowed children as young as 14 to vote. Really? So you had 14-year-olds voting for Canada's new prime minister?
Is that brand new? For the first time, 14-year-olds voting?
I don't know how the Liberal Party did it for Trudeau, but believe me, I paid attention to this. Here's the crazy thing. 400,000 people registered to vote. Only 150,000 of them were verified. Who were the other 250,000?
Wow.
Like, when you've got more than half of the votes spoiled, you can't trust the result.
So you're saying we should conquer Canada?
You know what? There's one more thing that I have a beef with in this political story. Sure. The tariffs. It's not the tariffs that have made Canadians mad, in my view. It's the indecent proposal. When Trump says, hey, come join us. That's like saying to a married woman, ditch your man and come with us. It sort of wounds the pride. It's an emotional hurt. And I think what Trump meant is sort of a jab at Trudeau when he first said it. I think too many Canadians are taking that literally, and they feel, like their pride is wounded. How dare you say I should break up with my man and join America? So I think that's actually has fueled a lot of the if you look at Carney's support, it's baby boomers who are insulted by that indecent proposal.
Is the opposition to Carney, like the opposition party, calling out that tariffs from China? Like, is that in the news at all from at least one side?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You're probably right. Like there's a large portion of the population that doesn't understand that Trump's rhetoric works a specific way. Whether he's looking to distract from one story and push something to somebody else, he knows how to get a rise out of people. And a lot of the population, especially the boomers, don't understand that type of political tactic because they've been led into this false belief that you're supposed to be all polite in politics, despite the fact that that's really a misnomer and hasn't been true for a very, very long time. So in a lot of ways, Trump's diplomacy can sometimes have a hiccup when it comes to the way he speaks, because it may work politically if he's trying to, push forth the big ask and something like that. And he's got economic leverage. But as far as like public support and getting people on your side, that can be a barrier. It's just that most people that support him, they don't care anymore. They're past caring about whether your feelings are hurt by someone's rhetoric. It's a bunch of people. Like, well, if you're my age and you're like, I was never going to own stock, I was never going to own a home, I do not care anymore. The wailings of boomers don't matter to me. I want somebody to fix this, or at least try something outside of the uniparty proper to do something about it. The boomers are offended by the rhetoric. Newer generations don't care as much.
In Canada, I think there's a lot of that. Yeah. It's housing prices in Canada are twice what they are in America.
Oh, wow.
Try being a young person. You have no chance. Young people living with their folks until they're well into their 20s, even 30s, that is normal in Canada. Cost of living, and we've had mass migration. It's just depressed wages, pushed up housing. And so actually when Trump says, hey, become the cherished 51st state, I love how he always says cherished. Because when was the last time Ottawa said to certain Canadian provinces, we cherish you? Like Trump knows what he's doing. Young people were the most receptive to Trump's offer, young men in particular. And, let me just say this to my American friends. I don't think you want Canada as the 51st state. You're going to get another California in terms of the electoral college. It's going to vote Democrat. I don't know if you know this, but a quarter of our population speaks French, and they insist on bilingualism. Are you guys ready for that? So I would say, look, let's get past this quarrel. And there's actually, I think, Trump can get what he wants from Canada without a fight. He negotiated in the last USMCA trade deal the oil sense. I think that's really what Trump wants. He wants defense and he wants the oil. And I think he can get both of those things without, the 51st state business.
What if we just give you guys California and we get the oil and the defense?
You have to give him the entire West Coast.
Yeah.
You'd have to give him, because Washington and Oregon are not considerably better politically than in California. And to be honest with you, Southern California, whereas the politics in California are terrible, I don't feel comfortable giving up California because that is some beautiful
it's the cities. The cities in California are terrible. There's a lot of red areas in California.
And we'll give them
San Diego,
Sacramento.
You want to give them cities.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable giving up San Diego. 29 Palms is out there. But go ahead.
Throw something at you.
Sure,
Seriously.
please.
Give me 2 minutes about
Sure.
this. Why does Canada have such a big trade surplus with America? Why is Trump, he's mad about the trade surplus? Because we sell you oil. That's by far our largest export to you. Why? Because America still imports foreign oil. And my point is, it's better for you to buy Canadian oil, I call it ethical oil, rather than OPEC conflict oil. I mean, if you have to spend $50, $100 billion a year on oil from someone, don't give it to the Qataris. Don't give it to the Nigerians, the Venezuelans. Buy it from your friends in Canada. First of all, you don't need to station the U.S. Navy in the Persian Gulf to act as, Globocop. I mean, the U.S. spends $50 billion a year patrolling the Persian Gulf sea lanes.
Yep.
How about just build that Keystone XL pipeline and get the oil from Canada without a fuss? You'd save $50 billion a year just in your Pentagon. And if you wanted to still mess around in foreign affairs, you could do so electively. And all that dough, well, it could go to Canada, and then you could say, okay, Canada, we expect you to rejuvenate your military with this. I don't think Canada needs to fight with the States. And you put a tariff on that oil, it doesn't really make sense because you put tariffs on a factory. Okay, you get the factory to move to America. You put a tariff on Canada's oil sands. That's where all the oil is. You can't move the oil sands into America, so it's not really going to work. It's just going to increase the price to those American refineries. So I think you got to think of it like a real estate mogul. How would Donald Trump look at Canada with his America First real estate deal on? Like he's talking about Greenland in sort of the same way. But the real action is those Alberta oil sands. 170 billion barrels worth of oil. If you double the production of that and sell it to the States, you completely displace any other foreign oil imports to America. It's a 10 or 12 or $13 trillion deal, depending on the price of oil. 50 years, America doesn't have to buy any foreign oil from anyone else.
Yeah.
It's already free trade covered by the USMCA. I think that's the deal of the century. Bigger than Greenland.
And there are a lot of people that are talking about the electrical output of China is going to, I think they're going to go up by I think it's going to triple or quadruple over the next 20 or so years. They're building a dam in China that's bigger than the Three Gorges dams, and the output of that, just this one dam, would be enough to power Germany. And in the future, in the next 20, 30 years, with AI being possibly the leader of global tech and stuff, that is extremely energy intensive. And in the United States, it's impossible to get any kind of significant generating station built. I've heard a lot of people talking about nuclear power, which I think is great, but you're still talking about 5 to 10 years if they just got rid of all the permitting and just rubber stamped everything and expedited everything. You're still not going to get any electricity out of a nuclear plant for at least 5 to 10 years. So
is that mostly because of red tape?
Yeah, if I understand correctly.
If you remove the red tape, how long does it take?
I think that the construction is 5 years. So to actually build the necessary infrastructure to go and take care of a nuclear plant is something like 5 years, and then with the red tape, I want to say it's 10. But again, I'm not an expert. This is just what I've read. But even still, the U.S. is lagging behind China when it comes to power generation. And Ezra, the stuff that you were talking about with oil production and stuff, that would be at least some help for actually generating power here, because we still do a lot of coal-fired plants and stuff in the U.S. and petroleum products are what a lot of our infrastructure runs on. I mean, not most, but a lot of houses use just diesel fuel for heat, home heating oil. They call it home heating oil, but it's just diesel fuel with a dye in it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.